Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Shire for Hire's EDH Commander Deck Tech. I am your host, Shire for Hire. I hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday. It's pretty early here where I'm at, rainy, pretty gross. So I'm just indoors enjoying a cup of coffee and decided, you know what, this deck is pretty much done. I've got a couple of pieces coming in to replace some other stuff, but for the most part, you know, the bones are set and it's pretty much ready to rock and ready to film. As always, I will put the description in the description. I will put the Archidec deck itself will be in the description or in the comments, one or the other. Also curious as to how you guys build your vampire decks, because obviously this guy is a vampire. Or any of your other decks, for any of my other videos that I've done. Some of you have, and it's pretty cool to interact with you guys. But without further ado, we're going to get into this one. I'm going to try not to make it a long one, because my videos usually tend to go about a half an hour or so. So let's try to keep it somewhere around there. Who do we have today? We have Edgar Markov. He has Eminence. What's an Eminence? Well, while he's in the command zone, he can do some things. And what are some of those things that he can do? Well, let's get into it. He is, for Mardu colors, red, white, black, 3 colorless. He is a 4/4 vampire knight. Eminence, whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 vampire creature token. He is a token generator. He's just going to push them out. He's like, I don't know. I feel like he would make a great base for like a Xenomorph Queen or something, just with that ability alone. But that's whatever. He's got first strike and he's got haste. So he could come out, he could swing, and he doesn't tap. Whenever Edgar Markov attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. So even if they're not attacking, they're going to get a 1/1 counter because he's swinging. So we've got Edgar out the way. We have another copy of this coming, too. We have the poster card coming from, was it Innistrad Remastered, I believe? Yeah, so now we're going to get into the creatures. For those that are curious, we have 3 game changers in the deck. They consist of Vampiric Seal, Imperial Seal, and Demonic Tutor. And in the deck, we have 7 2-card infinite combo pieces. It's only life gain, so it technically is infinite, but, you know, if you're sitting at a pod, you got to name a number with your health, so on and so forth. Go for, you know, like 6,000, 7,000, 60,000 health, whatever it may be. You got to pick a number. So let's get into the creatures. Creature number 1, we have the classic Stromkirk Noble. This creature cannot, he's 1 colorless for a 1/1 vampire noble. And this creature cannot be blocked by humans. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. Vampire of the Dire Moon for 1 black, 1/1 regular vampire. She's got Death Touch and Lifelink. That's awesome for a 1-drop. Blood Artist, another classic for a colorless and a black. We got a 0/1 creature vampire. Whenever this creature or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. We have a Creeping Bloodsucker for a colorless and a black 1/2 vampire. At the beginning of your upkeep, Creeping Bloodsucker deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Another great 2-card drop. Awesome. Vengeful Blood Witch for a colorless and a black for a 1/1 vampire warlock. Whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can see the theme that we're going here, right? It's the life gain versus life loss. So you can pretty much figure out what those infinite combos are. And we have the Oathsworn Vampire for a colorless and a black is a 2/2 vampire knight. Oathsworn Vampire enters the battlefield tapped. You may cast Oathsworn Vampire from your graveyard if you gain life this turn. We're actually going to be cutting him from the deck when we get our his replacement comes in the mail. And the replacement, I will post it on Archidec. Scourge of the Skyclaves. He is one of our combo pieces. For a colorless and a black, he's a demon. He's got no power, no toughness. It's all dependent on his ability. Kicker 5. So if you paid 7 total mana, he would enter the when you cast the spell. If it was kicked, each player loses half their life, rounded up. Scourge of the Skyclave's power and toughness are equal to 20 minus the highest life total among players. So basically, whenever I'm bringing this guy in, he's not going to live. He's going to die, but he's going to make sure that everybody has lost half of their life. Vampire Socialite. For a black and a red is a 2/2 Vampire Noble. Menace. This creature cannot be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. When Vampire Socialite enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a 1/1 counter on each other vampire you control, which she's like a mini version of Edgar with his second ability. As long as an opponent lost life this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. This thing is they just make them grow. Vampire Hexmage. For 2 black, it is a 2/1 Vampire Shaman. First strike. Sacrifice Vampire Hexmage. Remove all counters from target permanent. This is going to be good for artifacts your opponents control, say like the One Ring or Planeswalkers. You can instantly just kill a Planeswalker with this thing by removing all the counters on it, and so on and so forth. It's a great card. Rakish Air. He is 2 colorless and a red for a 2/2 vampire. Whenever a vampire you control deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. We're growing. We are growing. We're fucking eating our Wheaties, guys. Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, and this is another one of our combo pieces. He's 2 colorless and a black for a 1/3 Vampire Cleric. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. For 3 colorless and 2 black, creatures you control gain lifelink until the end of the turn. Marauding Blight Priest. Here is another one of the combo pieces. For 2 colorless, a black, a 3/2 Vampire Cleric. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Callous Blood Mage. For 2 colorless and a black, a 2/1 Vampire Warlock. When Blood Mage enters the battlefield, you choose 1. Create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. When this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Or you draw a card and you lose 1 life, or exile target player's graveyard. I'm still on the fence about keeping this card in the deck. If there was a way to recur it constantly, it would be considered to keep them in, but I don't feel like these abilities are really necessary for the deck. I have a Stromkirk Blood Chief. For 2 colors, a black, a 2/2 Vampire Rogue. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a 1/1 counter on target vampire you control. Markov Baron. For 2 colors and a black is a 2/2 Vampire Noble and is Convoke. Lifelink. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. Convoke. I can't say I remember what Convoke is. I believe it's this creature costs less. I don't know. And it has Madness too. You can discard it for its Madness cost and bring it back to the battlefield. For 2 colorless and a white, we have Elenda's Hierophant. It is a 1/1 Vampire Cleric. Flying. And if I was wrong about that, please somebody in the comments correct me. Flying. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Elenda's Hierophant. When Elenda's Hierophant dies, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink where X is its power. Clavino, the first of the blessed. He is a vampire cleric for 1 colorless, a white, and a black, 2/2. Whenever you attack, targeting an attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon in addition to its other types. It gains. When this creature dies, draw a card and create a tapped 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. Draena's Emissary. For a colorless, white, and a black vampire cleric is a 2/2. She got flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Stromkirk Captain is a colorless, a black, and a red. Vampire Soldier is a 2/2. First striker. Other vampire creatures you control get +1/+1 and have first strike. Captivating Vampire, and I believe, no, he is not. Okay, so for a colorless, 2 black, He is vampire 2/2. Other vampire creatures you control get +1/+1. Tap 5 untap vampires you control. Gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. This is kind of like a cheaper version of Olivia Voldaren without having to do all the extra steps. Vampire Nighthawk for a colorless and 2 black. Vampire Shaman 2/3 flying with Death Touch and Lifelink. Staple in any vampire deck. Draena, Liberator of Malakir for a colorless and 2 black. Legendary creature, Vampire Ally 2/3. Flying and first strike. When Draena, Liberator of Malakir, deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on each attacking creature you control. I think this is from the Zendikar, not Zendikar block, but the Return to Zendikar or whatever it was. Olivia Voldaren, speaking of the devil before, for 2 colors, a black and a red, vampire with a 3/3, flying, and for a colorless and a red, Olivia Voldaren deals 1 damage to another target creature. That creature becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. Put a 1/1 counter on Olivia Voldaren. For 3 colorless and 2 black, gain control of target vampire for as long as you control Olivia Voldaren. So like I was saying with the other guy, it's just cheaper than having to go through all her crap to get that ability off. We have Elenda, Saint of Dusk for 2 colors, a black and a white. 4/4 Vampire Knight. She's got lifelink and hexproof from instants. As long as your life total is greater than your starting life total, Elenda gets +1/+1 and has menace. Elenda gets an additional +5/+5 as long as your life total is at least 10 greater than your starting life total. And that happens a lot in this deck. Wisp Drinker Vampire for 2 colors, a black and a white. A 2/4 Vampire Rogue. Flying. Whenever another creature with power 4 or less enters the battlefield under your control, opponent loses 1 life and you gain life. Power 2 or less, sorry. For 5 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, creatures you control with power 2 or less gain Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of the turn. Let's see, what's this light going to do? That's better, I guess. Kalitas, Trader of Get. He is 2 colors, 2 black, 3/4, Vampire Warrior, Lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. For 2 colors and a black, sacrifice another vampire or zombie, put 2 1/1 counters on Kalitas, Traitor of Get. Bloodletter of Alcazatz. He is another one of our combo pieces. For a white and 3 colorless, he's a 2/4 Vampire Demon. Flying. If an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. So, here's another great combo between Bloodletter and Scourge of the Skyclaves. Okay, if you guys remember what I said about Scourge of the Skyclaves. Alright, when you cast a spell, if it was kicked, each player loses half their life, rounded up. Boom. If an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. This is an opponent. So you're going to lose life off of Scourge. You're going to lose half your life off of Scourge. But then your opponents are going to lose half of their life as well. And he is going to just seal the deal and take them out. Most of the time. Sometimes it's like it goes down to like 1 or whatever it is. So, yes. That's a great little combo. Big fan. I'm not a big infinite combo guy or anything like that, but I will run that in this deck. It just seems fitting. Alright, so we already covered Bloodletter. Draena Inland Vala for a colorless, 2 white, and a black, 3/4 Vampire Angel. This card is completely slept on. I know I said this with the Kalia deck. I'm going to say it again. They rock in any deck that is either vampires or angels. Flying, Vigilance. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. Draena Inland Vala has all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. So if you have a Hydra that's on the deck that requires like a pumping ability where it's like a green and an X or 2 green and an X, well, she's got that ability now and she can do it to herself and she could just get bigger and bigger and bigger. She's just awesome. Draina, Calastria, Blood Chief. For 3 colors, 2 black, Vampire Shaman, 4/4 flyer. For 2 black and an X, target creature gets -0, -X until the end of the turn, and Draina, Calastria, Blood Chief gets +X, +0 to the end of the turn. Bloodthirsty Conqueror, he is another one of our combo pieces. For 3 colors, 2 black, and a 5/5. Vampire Knight, flying, Death Touch. He's already gross on his own. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Bloodlord of Azgoth, 3 colors, 2 black, 3/3 Vampire Warrior, Bloodthirst 3. If an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it, flying. Whenever you cast a vampire creature spell, it gains Bloodthirst 3. Ouch. Archangel of Thune. What is another angel doing in this deck, you ask? Well, I mean, we'll get that. Oh, I hate this when dirt gets in there. Archangel of Thune is 3 colors, 2 white, 3/4 angel. She's got flying and lifelink. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. It's just that simple. She doesn't even have to attack. If I've got a little 1/1 vampire who's doing his thing and he hits somebody and gets through, and he's got lifelink, you gain the life. Now it's a 2/2. It's a great card, and there's a reason why it's so damn expensive. Since the card pretty much came out, the card's always been above like $20, and that was like what 14. Well, that's a different set, but I think it came out in like 2013 or 2014. Excuse me, I sip my coffee here. Have another angel. Why do we have another angel in a vampire deck, Shire? Well, we're going to get into it. Lisa, Forgotten Archangel, for 2 colors, white and a 2 white and a black for 4/5 angel, flying, lifelink. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile instead. It gives us a little bit of advantage on keeping our stuff, while at the same time making sure that your opponent's stuff does not recur. We have Rodolph, the Duskbringer. He is 5 colors and a black, Vampire Angel. It is a 4/4 flying, Death Touch, lifelink. I mean, for 6 mana, he better come with everything. Whenever you gain life, Rodolph Duskbringer gains indestructible until the end of the turn. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay a colorless and a white or black. When you do, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. We gain lots of life, guys. Vein Drinker. This one I'm still kind of on the fence about. I love the card. I love the art. Everything. I'm still not sure whether I want to keep it or not. For 4 colors, 2 black, Vampire, 4/4 flying. For red, tap it. Vein Drinker deals damage equal to its power to a target creature. That creature deals damage equal to its power to Vein Drinker. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Vein Drinker this turn is put into a graveyard, you put a 1/1 counter on Vein Drinker. Now, it's not really as convoluted as it seems, because I could continue to put 1/1 counters on her, so you don't have to necessarily use that last ability to make her work. So we're going to get into our Planeswalkers. We're only running 2 Planeswalkers, and of course you probably know who they are. We've got Sorin, the Solemn Visitor. Planeswalker for 2 colors, a white and a black. He's got 4 loyalty counters. For those who don't know, loyalty counters are basically his life. The life fluctuates. It goes up, it goes down, whatever. For his +1, until your next turn, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain lifelink. For his -2, put a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying onto the battlefield. -6, this is his ultimate. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature, which is pretty gnarly. And then this is probably my favorite Sorin Planeswalker. Edgar Markov for 3 colorless, 3 black, 4 loyalty. +2, Edgar Markov deals 2 damage to any target, and you gain 2 life. -3, target opponent's life total becomes 10. Dude, that is just like, I remember when this thing came out years ago, and I was like, there is no way in hell that's real. Oh, it's real. And it's still very real. And it's all wrapped up in this cute little bat. -7, you control target players during that player's next turn, which is cool, but it's not necessarily what we want to go for. But sometimes if you don't want to be a complete dickbag, you don't go for you don't make their life total become 10. And you just try to go for that ultimate. So, there is that. We will get into the artifacts next. We have the usual suspects in Soul Ring. And I've started taking Soul Rings out of my deck. Unless they are 3 or more colors, I'm taking the Soul Rings out. I just don't really see... I mean, yeah, ramp is nice. Ramp is always great. I don't feel like decks need to always fall on a Soul Ring. I feel like if you run 3 or more colors, then it makes sense to have a little bit more of a pump because you're working with 3. Sometimes it's hard to come in all 3 of your lands, or, I don't know. Yes, it's colorless, and it's a good boost, but for me personally, I'm moving away from the 2-color decks having a Soul Ring, and that's not saying that you should do the same. This is just me personally. If you want to put Soul Ring in each and every one of your decks, I say go for it. If you love the card, use the card. That's how I feel about it. And I do love Soul Ring, but I'm trying to incorporate a different play style when it comes into ramping. So, and I mean, it's very linear, but I mean, at the same time, maybe I could replace it with like another vampire or something. I don't know. Anyway, sorry for that little rant. For a colorless, it is an artifact. You guys know what Soul Ring does. Holy shit. Lightning Greaves, you know what that shit does. Arcane Signet, you guys know what that does. Pillar Origins, you might not know what this does. For 2 colorless artifact, a Pillar of Origin enters the battlefield. You choose a creature type. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a spell of the chosen type. So, vampires. Swiftwood Boots, you guys know what it does. Jet Medallion, yes, these are proxies. Why am I using proxies? Well, first of all, this is a bracket 4 deck. Right now, the medallions are going for anywhere between $13 and $23, depending on, so the Jet Medallion, I think, is the most expensive one right now. So, I do have them in other decks, and I don't like to butcher one deck or take stuff out of a deck temporarily to stick in it. I don't have the patience for it. I forget. I'll leave shit in there. I'll go and I'll bring a deck to, Tuesday Night Commander, and I'll be like, well, shit, the deck's not even complete. I can't even use it. So I don't care. We're cool with the proxies. The Jet Medallion, they're beautiful foils. I like them. If you don't like proxies, well, tough shit. You're not playing my decks. So, Chromatic Lantern for 3 colorless artifact. You know what it does. Well, we got a lot of people that hate on Chromatic Lantern too, but I'm going to tell you right now, man. When you're playing decks that have 3 or more colors and your mana is not fixing the way that you want it to be fixed, this little thing comes in here and it changes that. It makes your mana fixing easier until it gets removed. I find this to be more of a threat, honestly, than Soul Ring, but that's just me. Patchwork Banner for 3 colorless. As Patchwork Banner enters, choose a creature type, vampires. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. So those are our artifacts. All right. We're going to get into our instants. And for instance, we have 6 instants. Vampiric Tutor, you know what it does. Path to Exile, know what it does. Sword to Plowshares. Burrow's Charm, for those who don't know, and to this day it's still over a $10 card. For a red and white, choose 1. Burrow's Charm deals 4 damage to target player, or permanents you control are indestructible this turn, or target creature gains double strike until the end of the turn. I typically go for the middle ability when it comes to somebody hitting us with a board wipe. Deflecting SWAT. I know you guys hear me talk about this card all the time. If I'm running a deck and it has red in it, it's going to have Deflecting SWAT no matter what. It's not a game changer anymore either. So, I mean, the only problem with this card is that it is very expensive in the the secondary market. So, if you can find one on the cheap, or if you can get one on a bid on eBay, I highly recommend having this card. For 2 colorless and a red. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. You may choose new targets for the target spell or ability. So if somebody is going to counterspell, say, somebody's going to counterspell my, let's just say, creature, right? Or you're going to counter my Edgar Markov, okay? And I can whip out the deflecting swat, and if I have Edgar out, I don't have to pay the mana for it. I can be like, all right, I'm targeting your counter spell, and you're going to counter the deflecting swat, and then Soren Markov will make it onto the battlefield. It's an awesome card. Highly recommend you get one if you don't have one. Or even, put $10. It's like anywhere between, the regular version is going for like anywhere between 40 and 60 bucks. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, it's good tech. Anguished Unmaking for 1 colorless, a white, and a black. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose 3 life. I've done this with the doubling seasons. I've done it with planeswalkers. I've done it with big stompy creatures. It's good times. Imperial, sorceries. I'm sorry. With our sorceries, we do have 7 sorceries. Imperial Seal. You guys know what it does. Demonic Tutor. Feed the Swarm. This is another staple I think that every black deck should have for a colorless and a black, and I'll explain why. Destroy target creature and enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's mana value. So everybody automatically assumes that, oh, well, it's good creature removal. Use it to remove an enchantment. Save this for an enchantment, a doubling season, or Great Henge is an artifact. So anyway, but like an Exquisite Blood, a Sanguine Bond. Get rid of an enchantment. You got plenty of removal in black. All right, save this for an enchantment. Unless your opponent's not running any enchantments, and you can see 7, 8 turns into the game, your opponent doesn't have an enchantment out. Okay, smoke his creature, smoke his commander. Do that instead. But save it in the event an enchantment enters the battlefield, and get rid of that. Killing Wave for X black. For each creature, its controller sacrifices it unless he or she pays X life. Death Grasp for X white and a black. Death Grasp deals X damage to target creature or player. You gain X life. Vindicate for color white and a black. Destroy target permanent. I'm sorry. So that means a land. You can say like, oh yeah, that's a nice little Burroughs Garrison you got there. Not anymore. Sadistic Sacrament. Another card I think that really totally gets slept on. This card is just, it's so freaking mean, man. For 3 black, right? It's a sorcery with kicker 7. So basically, if you kick it, it's going to be 10 mana. But here's the upside to that, man. Search target a player's library for up to 3 cards and then exile them. Then that player shuffle his or her library. If Sadistic Sacrament was kicked, instead search that player's library for up to 15 cards, exile them, then that player shuffles his or her library. Dude, you can pick lands. You can take out their counter spells. You can take out their staples. We're talking 15 cards, man. 15 cards. That is 15% of somebody's deck. I highly recommend that you get this card, and it's not expensive. I think I probably paid $3 or $4 for it. 100% worth it, and it'd be good too in a mono black zombie deck. All right, we're gonna get to our enchantments, and then we'll cut to the lands. All right, so we have for our enchantments, we have Blind Obedience for a colorless and a white enchantment. It's got Extort. We're using the Extort because of our whole life gain thing. Extort, if you don't know what it does. Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay a white or a black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. Artifacts and creatures your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. Everything. Minus, it's artifacts and creatures, yes. Stensia Masquerade. For 2 colorless and a red enchantment, attacking creatures you control have first strike. Whenever the vampire you control deals combat damage to a player, you put a 1/1 counter on it, and it's got Madness 2. If you discard this card, discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its Madness cost or put it into your graveyard. Exquisite Blood, another one of the combo pieces, and this is one of the OGs of that whole entire combo. For 4 colorless and a black, whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Sanguine Bond for 3 colorless and 2 black. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And those are enchantments, and I think we're only running 4 enchantments. Okay? And now we'll go to our lands. We're going to keep it simple on the lands because we're already at the 30-minute mark. So we have a command tower. We have Exotic Orchid, Caverner's Souls. Obviously, we're going to name our vampires. They're not going to get countered. City of Brass. Secluded Courtyard. Add 1 mana of color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type and activate an ability of a creature or a creature card of the chosen type. Vampires, duh. Nomad Outpost. 3 Tree City. Excuse me. 2, tap it. Choose a color. Add an amount of mana of that color equal to the number of creatures you control of the chosen type. We're going to have a lot of vampires, guys. Mount Doom. Alright, pay 1 life. Add a black or red. Mount Doom deals 1 damage to each opponent for a colorless, a black, and a red. For 5 colors, a black and a red, tap it. Sacrifice Mount Doom and a legendary artifact. Choose up to 2 creatures, then destroy the rest. Activate only as a sorcery. I don't have any legendary artifacts in this deck, so we're not using that ability. Slayer Stronghold for a white and a red. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains vigilance and haste until the end of the turn. Sabe Triume. Marsh Flats, we got our fetchies, a couple fetch lands. We have our 3 duels. Sacred Foundry, we got some of our, is that the only pain land I have in there? That can't be right. Really? I guess that's the only freaking pain land I got. Alright, Urbog, Tarma Yawgmoth. Each land is a swamp in addition to its other types. Now, most of our land base is swamps. We need a lot of swamps. We have 3 plains. We've got 3 mountains. The rest of it's going to be swamps. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 swamps. Alright, so to summarize what we have done with this deck and what we just looked at, we have 3 game changers. Okay? It's a bracket 4 deck. We have in the game changers we have a Vampiric Seal, Imperial Seal, and Demonic Tutor. And then for our 7 2-card infinite combo pieces, alright, we've got Veto, we've got Scourge, we've got the Bloodthirsty Conqueror, we got Bloodletter of Aclazotz, we got Exquisite Blood, Sanguine Bond, Marauding Blight Priest. And then we have 35 creatures, 10 artifacts, 4 enchantments, 6 instants, 35 lands, 2 planeswalkers, 7 sorceries. And our average mana drop in this deck is 2 to 3. Anywhere between 2 and 3. You're looking at, we have almost 18 or 19 and 2, and we've got about 18 or 19 or 19 and 20 and 3. So that's our average mana right there. So we're always gonna have land. Our mana is fixed. It's a fun deck. Remember with your infinite combos, think of a number. Alright, don't be like, I'm going to get 1 million life, and yeah. I mean, you can do that if you want to. You're certainly allowed to. But, just remember, a master of cruelties can take your 1 million life and knock that shit down to 1. So, be reasonable. I guess 60,000 would probably be just as obnoxious as 1 million, but yes, that is our Edgar Markov deck tech. He is a absolute pain in the ass. I can't wait for the poster card to come in so I can stick it on the back side of that. So I like to do that with my commanders. I like to have 2 different arts on it. I've done that with Kalia. I'm going to, we're going to do an update on the Kalia deck because she has changed, not dramatically, but there have been new additions. She's almost completely foiled out. I think I've got like 6 cards left to go to foil her out. But yeah, let me know how you guys are building your Edgar Markov deck, or even just your vampire deck. Maybe your commander is Vito, or Clavino. Maybe you're running those as your commander. Let me know down in the comments. And if any point in time you like the video, shoot it a like, leave a comment, let me know what's going on. And thank you guys for joining in on another episode of Shire for Hire's Deck Tech. Peace.